B. Any goddess presiding over a particular art. Right now, if you remember earlier, I said that the so-called white man, the Illuminati, they'll take their witches and they handpick who's gonna be the top artists. Usually each record label has a top one person who is their top, the top person on that record label. And for example, let's take Beyonce. All right, she's like the number one R&B bitch right now. All right, until they're through with that dumb hoe. All right. So now, if you notice any of her so-called glamour shots, they have her looking like a straight up demon, like a so-called goddess. Right? Because what they do is they use these artists and they basically set them up as gods. All right, as idols, and the people actually worship the idol. Their so-called fans, the American citizens, look at these, which they're nothing but pieces of shit, lowlifes. Those people at the top. Let me tell you, some people at the top of any society, any faction of the United States government, population, entertainment industry, whatever. Those are the top demons on the planet Earth. Because the shit you gotta do to get up there, you gotta do some demonic shit. So Beyonce, Jay-Z, the so-called president, alright, head of the military, them fuckers in the Roman Catholic Church, those are the lowest pieces of shit on the planet Earth. Because you gotta basically drop all your morals to get to that level. Alright, but anyways, now if you notice any of these so-called glamour shots they got of this dumb bitch, they have her looking like a goddess. Alright, another word for goddess is diva. They always refer to themselves as divas. The word diva actually goes back to Rome, and I'm sure it goes back further. Alright, but they mainly point to Rome when you do some research on it. And basically what used to happen in Rome is that there was a religion where the senators, not the senators, the Caesars would actually present themselves as gods, and the citizens of Rome would worship the Caesar as a god. Now, if the Caesar had any female relatives, mother, sister, aunt, whatever, and it was usually immediate relatives like the mother or the sister, close cousin, they used to call them divas, and they used to worship them also as gods or goddesses. Alright? So look at these so-called pictures of Beyonce, and look how they present her. They present her as a goddamn goddess. And a bitch might not even be all that. Beyonce ain't all that fine. Beyonce's not fine at all, man. I mean, she looks pretty good, but she's hyped up, man. Alright? But that's because of the way they present her as a god, and she got demons with her. So niggas fall on the floor. Man, I could take a walk around the block right now and I'll see probably 5 or 6 bitches that'll blow Beyonce out the water. I'll just take a walk through the mall. Alright? But what do the scriptures say? Let's go to the scriptures real quick. Alright? Because the scriptures regard Beyonce and these other so-called artists as stars. So let's see what the Most High said he's going to do with these stars. And let's see if the Most High holds true to his word. Matthew 24 and 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened. And it's talking about the times that we're coming up to now, the so-called martial law, the famine. Talking about a literal famine and a spiritual famine. Alright, because you niggas, them 2/3 out there, when all hell breaks loose, they're going to be looking for the truth. In the first place, they're going to go to them churches, but guess what? The churches ain't got the truth in there. Because the sun's going to be darkened in that goddamn church too. Because guess who they get their so-called wisdom from? From the devil. Alright? So in that day, the churches won't be able to tell you shit. Nobody. But the 1/3 is still going to have the knowledge, but they ain't going to be out there teaching. It's going to be the time for hunting. Jeremiah 16 and 16. Alright? So that sun represents the wisdom of this world. So the scriptures say, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun, the wisdom of this world, shall be darkened, and the moon, understanding, shall not give her light. Now, don't these devils call themselves the Illuminati? The Most High said that shall not give their light. The word Illuminati means light bearer, or the illuminated ones. Alright, in that day, they're not going to be illuminated. Alright? They should call themselves the blackout. And it says, and the stars shall fall from heaven. Now what is that talking about? When Michael Jackson died, they said, we lost a star. We lost a shining star. The stars is talking about these so-called entertainers. And the scriptures say, the Most High said, alright, and His Son, and the stars shall fall from heaven. Now, does the Most High hold true to His word? So does the Most High hold true to His word? And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Right, the powers of the heavens right now is the Illuminati. And how will they be shaken? When them 200 million missiles hit the land of America, the earth's gonna rock to and fro like a drunkard. So the heavens, meaning rulership, will be shaken. Literally. So why does this so-called white man, the Illuminati, focus on music so much? Well, there's a prophecy that says that the Most High is going to cause their tongues to fall upon themselves. So all you have to do is do a little research and you can figure it out. Now there's a guy by the name of Aldous Huxley, and he wrote a book called The Brave New World Revisited. So let's take a look at a chapter from this book. Now this chapter we're going to read is page 281, alright, and it's called The Arts of Selling. Alright, so let's read what he says. Excuse me. Give me a second. Here we go. Okay. It says, to most people, music is intrinsically attractive, which it is. It says, moreover, melodies tend to ingrain themselves in the listener's mind. A tune will haunt the memory during the whole of a lifetime. Right, because if you hear certain melodies, certain tunes, it brings back experiences. You know, it brings back memories. You know, like you hear certain tunes and it'll remind you of one particular event that might have happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago. But since that song was playing at that same time, the memory gets attached to that. It could bring back a good memory or a bad memory. Alright, so what they do is the Illuminati, have these artists put certain messages in the music. Alright, subliminal messages, because if you hear it enough times subliminally, you're going to act out whatever they're saying in that message. It says, here, for example, is a quiet, uninteresting statement or value judgment. As it stands, nobody will pay attention to it. But now set the words to a catchy and easily remembered tune. Immediately they become words of power. Moreover, the words will tend to automatically repeat themselves every time the melody is heard or spontaneously remembered. Alright, and that music, it might be a song that you hate, that you can't stand, but for some reason, out of nowhere, the song will pop in your head, and you'll know every lyric to the goddamn song, and it's a song that you freaking hate. But that's because of that witchcraft that they're using. Alright, it says Orpheus has entered into an alliance with Pavlov, the power of sound with a conditioned reflex. So basically what this is, another word for it again, is witchcraft. But see, that doesn't work on us, alright? Because we're the 1/3. We're the men of the Most High. That's not going to work with us. See, let's bring out this scripture right quick. Because the 1/3 is the main target right now of the Illuminati. I mean, the rest of the population, they already got them. They got them ready. So let's go to Numbers 23. Let's read this.